This week is Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks. So much to go over on here. Such a great song. We're going to go over, I guess, the three sort of verse parts. I don't even know where a chorus is in this, actually. But we're going to take on those verses, and we're going to take on the lead, the great slide lead. So we'll go through all those sections on this great tune. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how they did this song. So they did this in open G, and they slowed the tape down. So what you hear on the record is F. The song is in the key of F. But he played his guitar, and all the guitars, the whole song was done in open G. And like I said, they slowed the tape down. So I've tuned my guitar down to the equivalent in F. It's an open F now. And so here's where our notes are. So if you know the open G tuning, you're just tuning it down a step from there. And so you can tell on the recording, you know, when you hear the decay of the cymbal, it takes a long time to go out. Those are giveaways that the tape is slowed down. And so the main guitar that he's playing on is a 12 string. This might be before he got his cherry double neck, sort of like this one. On Led Zeppelin 4, he had a Fender 12 string. Played that on Stairway to Heaven. And I suspect he probably is using that on this song too, but could be wrong. So I'm going to try and approximate that sound as best I can. When I'm dialing up the tone on here, I'm using bridge pickup. And I really don't have much of anything on the way of overdrive or distortion here. If you listen to it, that 12-string part is it's clean. I mean, there's a lot of effect on it. There's the flanging and all of that. That's washed over the whole thing, but the guitar itself is pretty clean. So I'm trying to reproduce that. Here's how I have my pedals set up. I've got a little bit on the EQ that you can see there, and the setting on the flanger, and I also have a little bit of phaser in there. I debated on whether or not the phaser is in there or not. It's sort of a little heavy on the effect with the phaser, but when I take it out, it's sort of not enough. So that's how I have my effects set up. I have a little bit of delay on there, a little bit of echo. I also have my rig set up to run in stereo, so you don't have to for this song, but it's just how I run my stuff out. So I'm running out to two Fender Black Faces. I've got a 64 Super Reverb and a 64 Bassman that are mic'd up with 57s for this. Okay, so let's get to how to play the verses. So it's a very heavy song, very heavy sounding song, but he's not doing a whole lot. He is really living on this sort of pull-off That's really all that's going on during those main verse sections. So you're pulling off from 3 on your A string, or your second, or your second string, whatever we're going to call that now. And every once in a while, you're sort of hitting those. If you're playing on a 6 string, if you don't have a 12, you can sort of get close to this sound because the second and fourth string, the fifth. That's the fifth string. The fifth string and the third string are octaves of one another. So you can actually play both those notes if you're on a 6 string. And you can get kind of close to that sound. If you really want to be fancy and you're really trying to nail that sound, you can try and add on those, which is those 2 notes here. But really what makes this is the and the washy sort of flanging that you got going on over all of that. And like I said, stay away from the overdrive on that. So that's it. That's really all there is. And you can sort of alternate when you're doing the... But for the most part, I think that's happening on the... So he does it 3 times with the... before he goes to the... And you can hear John Paul Jones mirroring that on bass. So that's really the main part of that first, the main part of the singing verses and the harmonica that's laying over that. Right. So then part number 2, where it starts to slide up. Okay. So how I'm doing this is I'm actually not using a slide on this part. I think it sounds more, unless you're really good with slide, and you're not banging on the frets, it's difficult for me to stay away from that. And I think it sounds great just with the finger. But so I'm sliding up to 8, and I'm basically playing strings 1 through 4. And I'm leaving the bottom 2 alone. And I'm not really picking them, so. If you get the other lower ones in there, it's sort of muddy. Maybe that one. But I'm playing 4 through 1. And then it comes down here and you're doing this alternating piece from on fret 3 and fret 5, same 4 strings, 5 3 5 0. It goes up again. Right. So that's all that part is. Again, we're in open F, so a straight bar across any fret is a chord. Right, and that's your home F. Okay, then the third part is the sort of epic where Bonham's drums drop out for a second, and you hear this great... before the slide comes in, right? So again, I'm on strings 4 through 1, and a big reason for that is because you want to have that droning F going on the whole time while you're doing those. So open, open, So that was 12, 7, 5, and then you climb back up, and the climb is 7, 10, 12. And then you can just kind of groove when the drums come back in. Like I said, you could do that with a slide, but I don't know. It just sounds really clean on the record to me, to my ears. If he is playing slide, he's playing it fantastic. And let me let you in on a little secret. It's not a secret, but if you go and search out all the times where it's on video where Jimmy Page is playing this live, and a lot of times it's post Zeppelin. And he plays the whole song with a slide on his third finger, and he's playing these parts, you know, with the slide because he wants to sort of alternate between those parts and then the lead parts, right? He wants to do all of that, and he can't just stop and pick up a slide and all of that. Man, he is not playing that very well. I love Jimmy Page. I love everything about Jimmy Page. But I can't find a live performance on video or even on audio where they're playing that back in the Zeppelin days. Man, he really struggles with that on live. So make it easy on yourself. If you guys are trying to attempt this live, you don't need to do that part. You don't need to do it with a slide. Just, it'll sound epic and you'll be a lot cleaner without it. So those are really all the parts of the song in terms of a rhythm guitar portion. So let's jump to the lead sections, and I'm going to strap on the Les Paul for that. All right, so let's talk about the lead sections and the slide. So every time I've seen him play live, he's using I think that's brass, but it's a metal slide, not a glass one. These are a lot more loud, I think, a lot more bright. And so that's part of the sound. I'm over on my Les Paul now for this, and here are my pedal setup. So now for this piece, you want it sort of normal rock blues here. We're taking out all of the washy flange and any phaser or anything like that. But we are introducing fuzz now. I've got a little bit of EQ. I'm leaving it like I did with the other. I'm boosting one of the treble frequencies a little bit. I've got, to help with that fuzz, the fuzz alone was a little, I don't know, not quite right. When I kicked on my tube screamer right in front of it, and I turned it all the way down. I turned that tube screamer drive all the way down. So you just want to get sort of the mid-range boost that the tube screamer gives you, and I'm feeding that into my full tone fuzz, and that's the closest what I have with my equipment that I can get to it. So the tuning here, I suspect that Jimmy actually was also playing this stuff in open G tuning. But it's very difficult to get some of those, I don't know, I struggle with it a little bit. It's difficult to get in the way you hear it on the record with that tuning. It's a lot easier if you do it in an open E tuning. Open E where, so it's just an open E chord, right? Like an E major chord. And it just, you find some of these notes a lot easier. It's right there in one spot. And I sort of, I don't know, I always sort of opt for the easiest way. So anyway, this is how I'm doing it. But you can also play it in open G. It's just a little bit different. So again, I'm in an open E tuning. The song is now in F. So I'm up here on the 13th fret. And in terms of sound settings, I'm using the middle setting with both of these on. I've got my volume and volume is wide open, and my tone is back on about 8. Yeah. So during that part, really, you can play it a couple different ways. But what we're going to do for the first part is we're going to play on the second and third string on each of the sort of frets where each one of those chords are. So the chords that are being played on that EBEG part is F, C, and B flat. And then it does that climb back. Right? So the same frets that we were on the 12-string part, 7, 10, or I guess it's not 7 now, it's 8, 11, 13, because we're playing in the key of F in this case. Okay, so it's a second and third string, and also use your fingers for this, because you want to be able to palm mute and mute all the other strings that you're not playing, and you don't need a pick for this. So we're on 13. So remember, when you're playing your slide, you are on the fret wire. You're not behind the fret wire. You're not in front of the fret wire. You are on the fret wire. If you just want to break down the notes, it's kind of... But, when you slide, you're not getting all the way down. So it's that. Then repeat it on your B flat, on your C. Repeat it on your B flat. Then climb back up. 8, 11, 13. And you do it again. Right? Now here's where it sort of diverges a little bit. On the record, I hear him going all the way up when he gets that high note. Right? I sort of hear that big climb. But that note is also right here. Right? So you can kind of slide into it if you want to stay there. But just watching him play, I just really feel like he's going all the way up here. And giving it a big wiggle. So play it however you wish. Either one. All right, so it's up there. Again, you make it easy for yourself. You're sliding down from 13 to 11 on the second string, and then same thing on the third string. Right? So from the beginning again. And then climb up again. So what fret is that? 12, can't count, 15, 17, 18. So 18 fret is your F. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yes, 18. So that's 16 to 18 at the end, right? Or you can do it here. Make it easy on yourself, but stylistically, it's however you want to do it. But that's what he's doing there. Right. There's also one where he hits... And then he does this down on the C. where he goes into it, he ends on that with both those notes. But you can't do this because that is not in the chord. So I've approximated that with, then you can come down to C. You're on your C at 8, and you're gonna play between 8, 6, and 10 fret. Okay, so those are all one skip fret from one another, but try to get all those little parts in there. And there is one or a couple where he gets both of those in there. So for me, the easier way to play that is 8, 6 on the first string. So you don't pick that G, you don't pick that third string until the very last note there. You don't want to do that, you can do this all day long. It's going to sound fantastic. You know, that's all right there on the 13th and the 11th fret. All of that. And then on the outro, you know, when they're vamping at the end, you know, there's the other variation of that. You could do it either way, right? Either go all the way up there, or you just stay at home. But I hear him slide all the way up there. So there you have it. That's the magic of Jimmy Page and his slide. Decide for yourself how you ever want to do that, however you want to play that. If you want to play it in the open E tuning, that's how you do it. If you want to try it in the open G tuning, feel free to do that too. You're just sliding up on different parts, a little slightly different. And actually, if you watch him do that live, he is playing it in an open G live. So you can see how he does that. All right, so that's When the Levee Breaks. Remember, so in terms of tone, if you got a 12 string, break out that 12 string. You're going to play that in an open F. Stay away from the overdrive, but put in as much of the flange and phaser that you can, and keep it a little clean. You know, decide if you're going to play it with your finger or your slide, but I think you get a lot better results if you're playing it and barring it with your finger. If you got a second guitar to play the slide stuff with you, then they can add on some fuzz. You know, use that metallic slide, and you know, keep it up here on either the double or the neck pickup. Don't have it on that bitey pickup for that slide. It's a little too much, but you definitely want to have the fuzz tone on there. All right, thanks again, everybody. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you haven't done so already, like and subscribe. It makes a big deal. It's a big help. And let me know what you want to hear next week. Until then, take care, everybody.